A member himself, live from Capitol Hill, Republican Congressman Greg Murphy of North Carolina is joining us. Welcome back to Bloomberg, Congressman. Obviously, you know very well the people we are talking about here. These holdouts are colleagues of yours. With your knowledge of them, do you expect they'll come around this evening?
Well, I think there are one or two that, regardless of what we do, are not going to come around. But, that's just what we've seen historically from them. And, Kayleigh, this is a blueprint. It's only a blueprint for what we're going to be able to do in reconciliation, send back to the committees. So, I really have an issue with some of the folks who are blocking this at this point in time. This is nothing that is set in stone. We're going to look at $1.5 trillion cuts, hopefully up to $2 trillion. But, we're talking about Medicaid a few minutes ago. If the Biden administration did not explode the Medicaid rolls, these cuts really would not be necessary. But we're going to go on through every single committee and go through certain cuts, but then add $200 billion to our border security, national security, and those type of things, defense. But all at a time when we really need to get off this fiscal cliff. Sadly enough, most folks in the country don't understand the financial peril that we are in that has been brought forth by many presidents, Republican and Democrat. And so we're really here. We need to do something, and we need to move forward. And I think that's what the Speaker is going to do this evening.
We've got a live view of the House floor right now on Bloomberg TV and on YouTube. Steve Scalise breaking out the easel, accusing Democrats of crushing the middle class with new taxes. Of course, presuming the Trump tax cuts are not extended. Congressman, what's going on behind the scenes? Are they holed up in the Speaker's office right now? Is it a matter of adjusting certain numbers? Or like Megan was just telling us, getting Donald Trump on the phone to twist some arms?
Well, I'm not one of the holdouts, so I'm not sure exactly what's going on. But I think the president has been involved in speaking to some of those individuals who are understandably, they can be persuaded that this is just a blueprint to move forward. We have a couple other individuals that there's not enough Jesus in the Bible for them. And so that said, we need to move forward. We need to get these other folks on board so that then we can actually do our work. How this is being done, I think it's in the president's hands because he wants this moved forward.
Well, Congressman, when you focus on the issue of Medicaid specifically, which I know you said this is just a blueprint, Medicaid cuts are not actually prescribed by this legislation. They just very well could ultimately be the result of it if the Energy and Commerce Committee has to find $880 billion of spending cuts. You are not just a congressman. You are a doctor, I believe still a practicing surgeon. Do you have any reservations about that prospect?
Well, I do, but I don't, because let me tell you, during the Biden administration, no state was allowed to go back and audit their Medicaid rolls. Remember, Medicaid is for poor working mothers, for the children under age 18, for the disabled and the elderly poor. Those are the requirements. Those are the eligibility issues for a person to be on Medicaid. They exploded the eligibility for Medicaid during the Biden administration because, and this is people that I see, Kayleigh, these are patients that I see are on Medicaid who I know don't qualify. So going back and taking them off the Medicaid rolls where they really shouldn't be is going to be, as I love to say, a target-rich environment. Going back on some of the other issues where we've exploded the programs and they shouldn't be that way, they were never intended to be that way, I think will do a great bulk of what the cost-cutting measures will be for Medicaid.
Congressman, government runs out of money in just 17 days. We don't even have top lines agreed to yet. Is there enough Jesus in the Bible to avoid a shutdown?
Well, I sure hope so, Joe. I mean, Jesus may need to come down and help out a little bit. That said, I'm not for one for shutting down our government. Some people have the false idea that shutting down the government is a good idea, at least for conservatives, but that's actually the absolute opposite, because we'll end up having to have Democratic votes in the Senate, 60, which will actually make the poison pill a hell of a lot worse. That said, the Speaker's, he's got a lot on his plate right now, budget reconciliation and the CR moving forward. I'm going to make sure some things are done with Medicare payment for physicians, but we need to get that done. The country doesn't need to stop in its tracks with a stop in government.
I'm sure you're well aware, Congressman, of the reports that one of the things the Democrats are looking at as potentially what would be exchanged for their support to keep the government lights on is constraints around the degree to which the Trump administration cannot spend appropriated money that has been appropriated by Congress. Are you fundamentally opposed to that, given that you as a member of Congress are bestowed with the powers of the purse as it is? Is it really so bad if you continue to have that role?
Well, Kayleigh, they're doing, their heads are on fire because they haven't seen a president. Looking at his 100 days, he's done more in 100 days than Biden did in 4 years. And so this is a rate of which is truly, we're in gale force winds here. But what the president is doing is he's living up to his campaign promises. And remember, he won not only the Electoral College, but he won the popular vote. This is what the people want. So the Democrats are, running around. They're trying to do literally everything possible to stymie the administration. It's not going to fly. It's really not going to fly.
But a lot of ink has been spilled last couple of days talking about Republicans getting ears full at town hall meetings while home in the district. And we have seen video evidence of some of these. But I wonder your take, what you're hearing. Some Republican voters seem to be very excited about the cuts, but not so excited about the way some of this is being executed or communicated, Congressman.
Yeah,
what do you hear?
Joe, I think that's a fair assessment. When a new CEO comes in on a company, and this is the way I look at Musk, he's coming in on a failing company, which is the country. People don't understand that, but that's what's happening financially, is there's a lot of restructuring involved. And whether it comes in with blunt force or surgical precision really is up to the CEO. I think there are some reservations. Let's be plain and clear about the manner in which it's being done. The end result has to be done. But again, Republicans are, for the most, I think, happy with it. A lot of Democrats, of course, don't want it because they'd rather spend.
We know, Congressman, you focus on veterans affairs issues as well, and we've seen reports on the number of veterans who have been caught up in the cuts we've seen so far. Has any data on that front been shared with you from the Department of Government Efficiency?
Kayleigh, the Biden administration, by its own admission, overhired in the Veterans Administration. And they thought, well, we'll just try to figure it out while they did. And so going back now and cutting out the people that should not have been hired in the first place really is what's happening. So many of these cuts are things that really we're going to have by attrition, or that people really, and I know this for a fact, one of my former staff members is now on a probationary cut because they were cut for being here on a probationary period. They're going to reapply for other jobs that are available. Democrats, again, pushing things out of control. The things that happened in the Veterans Administration is excess, not anything that's going to affect benefits or health care for veterans.
Congressman, it's good to have you back. Republican Congressman Greg Murphy of North Carolina.